The Cowboys have not put themselves in a position to draft a wide receiver in round 1 this year. They have a ton of holes along the offensive line, questions at the linebacker position, a defensive interior that is as thin as ever, and much more. But I would argue that the wide receiver position is still very important for this team. Maybe not round 1 important, but Ceedee Lamb is likely going to get extended soon, but beyond that, there are just a ton of question marks at wide receiver moving forward. Brandin Cooks might be on the decline, as well as his contract ending after the 2024 season. Jalen Tolbert has not shown that he's even an NFL wide receiver 3 so far through his career. As we all know, Gallup has been cut. Kavontae Turpin has been a good return guy, but not much of a receiving threat. His contract ends after 2024 as well, and that's pretty much your wide receiver room. So I'd argue that maybe this year it's time to invest a little bit more into the position. And there are guys that will be available in rounds 2 and 3 that could be difference makers down the road and maybe even in 2024. So let's get into the video. The Cowboys aren't close enough to snag a top receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, or Rome Odunze, and none of the wide receivers after that group of 3 should really be taken over an offensive lineman for this Cowboys team. I'm usually all for drafting BPA, but with what the Cowboys have done in free agency, you gotta take an offensive lineman in round 1, right? But we can start looking at wide receivers in rounds 2 and 3, with players that more likely justify that selection at that pick. So I want to talk about a few guys that will be available and make sense for Dallas, starting with Xavier Legette. Let's just start with the measurables for a second. He has a strong, thick frame, standing at 6'1", 221 pounds. Legette scored a 9.88 on the relative athletic score chart at the NFL Combine. A very impressive number. One of the first things that you notice with Legette's game is the speed. At 6'1", 220, the dude can move. South Carolina had him returning kickoffs for a majority of his time there, and you can tell the dude has some burners. Hence the 4.39 40-yard dash at 220 pounds. Another thing you notice is the ability as a 50-50 ball receiver. He does a great job of high pointing the ball, using his size to box out defenders, and aggressively attacking the ball in the air. In 2023, Legette proved to be a pretty reliable pass catcher as well, with just a 2.7% drop rate all year long. What I don't think he gets enough credit for in his game is his ability to run routes and separate. Now, he's not the most technical route runner in this draft, and I think that's why he doesn't get a ton of hype, because there are better route runners that are probably going to be available in rounds 2 and 3. But his mix of speed, power, and finesse make him pretty reliable in separating from defensive backs. I thought when watching the film that he had more contested catches come from late throws rather than him just not separating from the defensive back. He was creating separation on tape, but was having to make more contested catches because of poor timing from Spencer Rattler. So I'm not really worried about his size, speed, or his route running ability, but there are a few things in his game that you should worry about. Number 1 is the breakout age. It took him until 22 years old to really put it all together in college. Before that, he wasn't much of a factor at South Carolina. He wasn't on anyone's radar before the 2023 college season, and I do think that's a concern. Why did he only play 157 snaps in 2022 and only 130 in 2021? Why was he stuffed so far on the depth chart at a school like South Carolina that's not putting out NFL talent every single year? Definitely something that the Cowboys need to look into. Another thing with Legette is the yards after catch. He has the speed, he just doesn't have much wiggle when he does get the ball, especially in space. He's probably not going to consistently beat defenses with finesse in the open field. His agility and lateral quickness against tacklers is just not special. Now, if he can break one tackle using his strength and get going in a relatively straight line, the dude's gone. How I view Xavier Legette is this: boom or bust. He could be AJ Brown. He could be a damn good NFL wide receiver. He has all the traits. If he puts it together, has good coaching, good opportunity. Or he could be the guy that we saw get overshadowed and stuffed down on the depth chart at South Carolina. The situation for this guy is going to be everything. And I honestly think that Dallas is a great situation. He doesn't have to come in year one and ball out immediately. You still have Brandin Cooks, you still have Ceedee Lamb, you still have Tolbert that can do some things in the passing game, but he would come in year one and get opportunities, which is what he needs. He'd also have a little bit more time to develop before the switch flips on in 2025. So what do you think of Xavier Legette? Comment your thoughts down below. Another receiver that I have graded in the second round is Florida wide receiver Ricky Pearsall. Standing at 6'1", 189 pounds, he's probably a slot receiver at the next level. Pearsall is a technician of a route runner. He does a beautiful job of using fakes and head movement to trick defensive backs into flipping their hips and then just running past them. Along with getting open and creating a ton of separation, he has an impressive catch radius and contested catch ability. See this catch as an example. Pearsall has plenty of speed to challenge NFL defenses on crossing routes and slants over the middle. He ran a 4.41 at the combine, and the speed does show up on tape. Now, I know that I said he'd probably be mainly a slot receiver at the next level, but he did play both inside and outside at Florida, which is something that I think the Cowboys would like. We know that they're all about their position flexibility. I personally think his release is good enough to play a little bit on the outside, but where he would flourish is in the slot, especially in Dallas. And this is the reason that I bring up Ricky Pearsall as an option in the second or third round. In 2016 as a rookie, Dak had a particular receiver that he really liked to throw to, a slot receiver. Does the name Cole Beasley ring a bell? Sure, Pearsall isn't as small and maybe as quick as Beasley, but he is a mainly slot receiver guy that can absolutely dominate underneath and get open consistently to pick up third downs and keep the sticks moving. What he does better than Beasley is be a downfield threat. I have a second round grade on him, and I'd consider taking him if he's there at 56. But if you pass and he somehow falls down to your third round pick, there's no doubt in my mind that Dallas should take him. Ricky Pearsall, anybody? Comment your answer down below. Now, let's move on to our next player, Germaine Burton from Alabama. 6', 196 pounds. He has average size for the position. Where Burton really separates himself as a prospect is the deep play ability. He gains speed and precision that makes it really hard for defensive backs to stick to him. What also helps him be a great downfield option is the ball tracking skills. You gotta have it if you're gonna be the main vertical threat. And there are multiple times on tape of him adjusting to poorly thrown passes or running underneath an absolute bomb of a pass. It's funny because the comparison that I've seen a lot through this draft process has been Burton and Odell Beckham Jr. People aren't saying that he'll have the same career as Odell Beckham, but man, their body types, the way they move, the way they run routes, it's pretty damn similar. Now, what might keep Dallas and other teams away from drafting this guy is the character issues, the attitude that he shows both on and off the field. We always hear talk about these diva wide receivers. Well, here you go. This is one of them right here. His attitude on the field can be good or bad. He could be a little extracurricular after the play, but he is a guy that wants to be aggressive and take defensive backs' souls when he's blocking. But when that translates off the field, it's not great. He apparently struck a female fan after a loss to Tennessee. That clip circulated the internet. It was not a good look for him. It wasn't a good look for Alabama. And it's something that teams are going to have to ask him about during the pre-draft process. Maybe the second round is a bit too steep for a guy with this kind of baggage. Or we'll have another Kelvin Joseph situation where the Cowboys have a high grade on Burton. They know about the personality. They don't care. They take him anyways, and it comes back and bites them in the butt. Let me know what you guys think about Germaine Burton. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, which of these receivers are you taking on day 2? I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.